Thanks so much for being with us here on ANF Plus. I'm Joy Lim-Nackrid. So I want to let you know that we are expecting to hear at any moment now from officials in Cobb County, and they're talking about the enhancements to security at the adult detention center there in Cobb County. So we're expecting a live press conference to begin really at any moment now, and they're touting how they've actually been using robots to secure the perimeter. They're equipped with 360-degree cameras, night vision, lights, heat detection, two-way audio capability. So there are numerous benefits to that, according to Cobb County officials. And we're going to take you live there as they talk a little bit more about these new efforts to enhance security at the detention center. Just as soon as that begins, we're going to take you there live. But I also want to let you know about some other news that we have been following as well, starting with this investigation that has been underway. And there is a, pardon me, just fiddling with the graphics here, but there is an investigation underway by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation involving an officer-involved shooting, and apparently two men were trying to open a door at the mill at Westside Apartments in West Midtown, and several items were stolen. But we're gonna of course bring you an update as soon as we learn more from that. But also we've been talking about the issue of early voting, and Election Day is less than 2 weeks away now. Nearly 2 million Georgians have cast their ballots early. We heard an update from the Secretary of State just a short time ago, and this is something very much on our radar that we're going to continue to follow throughout the day here on Atlanta News First and Atlanta News First Plus as well. And now to South Fulton, where the man who runs the city of South Fulton is looking for a serious raise. He's actually seeking to double the money, and he pitched the idea to City Council last night. But that raise isn't necessarily for him. It would be for those after him, really, because of the term limits and so forth. And the raise is not all that he's asking for. Atlanta News First Bridget Spencer reports.
South Fulton Mayor Khalid Kamau is asking for a raise for the next mayor in office, whether it's him again or someone else. The increase would be from $47,000 to $85,000 a year.
I will not receive $1 of this salary increase. Statutorily, the increase cannot take effect until there's been an election.
Kamau says the job is thankless and demanding and calls for it.
I believe that being a mayor, being a leader of a city takes courage.
But there's just one issue here. On paper, the role is part-time.
I am not comfortable with taxpayers' dollars paying a classification of a part-time salary at $86,000. I understand the premise of what he's doing, but he has to go about it the right way.
The resolution was looked at on a first read at Tuesday's council meeting, meaning it still needs a vote next month. Some taxpayers aren't comfortable with the idea, though.
This is supposed to be a service job. I see a lot of them talking about the time and things that it's taking them, but they're doing this on their own.
Additionally, the mayor is also proposing tuition reimbursement for mayor and council, which Kamau says could go into effect next fiscal year.
It could theoretically help me if I were staying and serving in office.
It's disingenuous to say you want taxpayers to pay for your college tuition.
The mayor's term has been mired in controversy, with clashes with South Fulton leadership and last year being arrested for burglary and criminal trespass. Bridget Spencer, Atlanta News First.
And turning now to this story in Fayette County, where a family speaking to Atlanta News First after they say that an Amazon truck driver ripped off the siding of their home. They told Atlanta News First Patrick Quinn that their claim for damages was denied.
The moment the paneling was ripped off the side of this Fayette County house.
It was terrifying because it sounded like the whole wall was going to come down.
Melody Manzueta said the Amazon delivery driver is to blame for while pulling out, she said he snagged a hanging phone cord connected to the house and kept going. That's when she heard the huge bang and yelled at her husband.
And I said, "Did you hear that?" He goes,
"Yep." On Ring front door camera footage, you hear her husband yell back as he picked up the packages off the front porch. Those were espresso machine parts, costing roughly $50. A week later, the side of their house is still exposed. Melody said contractors estimate to replace the wall will cost $50,000.
I'm sure that I'm not the only one this is happening to, And Amazon is such a big company. I'm aware that to them this isn't an emergency, but in my small world, this is an emergency.
This is not the only mishap we've covered involving an Amazon truck in Metro Atlanta. In July in Fairburn, this Amazon truck pinned itself against a power pole, causing a temporary power outage in the South Atlanta community. And in August, we shared this story in Sandy Springs. Take a look. This Amazon truck pulled up a customer's driveway, only to get stuck in their carport, causing roughly $30,000 worth of damage. Back in Fayette County after the incident, you see the Amazon driver stop at the end of the driveway. Melody said he apologized before calling supervisors. Melody filed a claim for Amazon to cover the damages. She just learned it was denied. The company saying it was the phone cord company's fault. Melody told me that response was insufficient and inaccurate.
It was the truck driver that ripped off the wire. They drove all the way into our driveway. They didn't have to do that.
And thanks so much to Patrick Quinn for putting together that report. Okay, now let's go to this story out of Cobb County. Really an incredible story. 7 people are accused of living inside of a man's home after he died, with his body still inside of that home. Atlanta News First reporter Chelsea Vinepour has more on the charges that they now face.
This is the driveway of that home. It is so overgrown, you can't even see the front of the property, and that's exactly why Cobb County police think that thieves targeted this house.
He was in a severe state of decomposition. It's called mummification.
During a welfare check earlier this month, Cobb County police found 71-year-old Robert Westbrook dead, laying in a bathtub inside his home on Harold Avenue. They noticed something else peculiar about the home, too.
It was ransacked. There was drawers that were overturned. His master bedroom was completely just disheveled.
Police estimate Westbrook had been dead for about 3 months, but there was evidence of food and trash that indicated someone else may have been living there. The day after that welfare check, police got another 911 call about people on the property. When police arrived, they found 4 suspects with some of Westbrook's property loaded into their vehicle.
There was like some speakers, some computer equipment. There was a bunch of mail.
Detective Daniel Gadudo also noticed Westbrook's car had vanished from the driveway. License plate readers led police to a nearby gas station where they found the vehicle and 3 more suspects.
They had the victim's credit cards. They had some checks from him. They had made purchases inside of the gas station. They were playing the lottery machines inside of the gas station with his money.
It was quite shocking.
Neighbors like Sophia De Silva say they had no idea what had been going on at the house. It wasn't until police showed up that they knew something was wrong.
I was pretty scared because it was the first time I felt like, oh my gosh, the neighborhood's not safe.
Cobb police say let this be a reminder to keep an eye out on your neighborhood.
If you know you have an elderly neighbor, check on them. If you see that their house is overgrown, check on them.
Cobb police say Westbrook's death does appear to be from natural causes, so nobody is facing any charges in connection to that. Those 7 suspects, though, are facing a variety of fraud, theft, and burglary charges. Reporting in Cobb County, Chelsea Vinepour, Atlanta News First.
Thanks so much to Chelsea for that report. Okay, turning to an ANF investigation, and it has to do with disposing of unwanted medicines. So if you're cleaning out your cabinets, something to think about here. When you're getting rid of old or unwanted prescriptions, a lot of people may choose to flush them down the toilet, but that is really not the best move. Atlanta News First investigative reporter Anastasia Almos looks into what you should do instead.
A viewer had reached out to us upset because he said his local pharmacy wouldn't take his old medications and he didn't know what else to do. So we investigated and found that the FDA says the safest way to throw out prescriptions is through a drug take-back program. That's either an event hosted by a local agency or permanent drop-off location. So what you're looking at is a map that we made of every location you can take expired drugs to within 75 miles of our news station here in Atlanta. Now keep in mind, just because it's a pharmacy does not mean they'll take your expired drugs. Now, if you can't get to one of these locations, the FDA does have a list of drugs they say can be flushed down the toilet, including some opioids like oxycodone and fentanyl, because the FDA wants you to get them out of your home as soon as possible. If the drug is not on the flush list, the FDA recommends you mix it with an unappealing substance like dirt or cat litter, then seal it in a plastic bag and throw it away. This includes medicines like antibiotics and painkillers. Now, you can find links to our interactive map as well as the flush list on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com. I'm Anastasia Olmos. Atlanta News First investigates.
And now to another ANF investigation, the Federal Trade Commission making it easier on you to cancel your unwanted subscriptions. The agency announcing a big rule change that could cut down on some of the red tape. Atlanta News First, Better Call Harry explains the change and when it will be implemented.
The FTC's new rule goes into effect 6 months after it is published in the Federal Register, which should happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks, so let's say 7 months. Once that happens, the jig is up for the online businesses that depend on auto renewal subscriptions. They made billions for years, but after 16,000 consumers weighed in, the FTC said, that's enough.
In addition to online subscriptions, the click-to-cancel rule applies to gym memberships. That means gyms will have to make it as easy to cancel your membership as it was to sign up. It also means the auto renewal disclaimer isn't enough. You have to give informed consent before the seller can collect your payment information. Here's the perfect example. I signed up for a free trial at MyHeritage and I missed the deadline to cancel. I paid $80 and it renews annually. I tried to cancel, but I couldn't find anything on the app that let me do it. I went to frequently asked questions where it showed me how to cancel the app, but I signed up on my laptop. The laptop version let me cancel. However, I had to answer a series of questions explaining why and what I'd miss out on if I did.
Sellers can still ask the questions before you cancel, but it's not that big of a deal, just 2 or 3 clicks and you're done. There are some exceptions. The FTC does not have jurisdiction over your phone, insurance, your bank, or the airlines. I'm Better Call Harry, Atlanta News First.
And more on that and all of our top stories on atlantanewsfirst.com, also by downloading our free app. Now back to Local News Live.